Okay, so here we are in the fourth and last section of Module 4. We're going to be talking about energy management here. So if you have experienced burnout or things like that, and now you have felt some recovery from it and you're getting better, how can you make sure that you don't fall into the same cycles and the same pits that you were before? So once you have this recovery time, it's easy to go back into old patterns if you're not quite sure what to do or what to pay attention to not fall into it. So we'll talk about it here. We're going to be digging really deeply into some of these things in the next module, but we'll just kind of briefly go over this, and some is repetitive from before as well, but how to kind of balance your energy levels at this point. So you would need to decrease, again, the events that you feel heavy obligation or guilt towards that have little value to you. I know it sounds maybe like a selfish sort of thing, but you should feel some sort of personal gain with whatever you do. It should be worth it. There should be some reason or something that you get from it, whether it's a sense of peace or love or harmony or fun or enjoyment or that kind of thing. Life is not meant to just drain you completely and just be a total buzzkill the whole way through, right? So another thing is the things that you do for other people that they can, and again, should do themselves. So make sure that you're not trying to rescue everybody all the time, or just make sure nobody else has to feel any discomfort because you're just taking over everything. People need to have their own experiences. You don't need to interrupt their journey. Let them and empower them to do things on their own. The zone out activities, like I had mentioned in one of the prior sections, was that, these things like messing around on your phone, scrolling social media, just zoning out, watching TV, these things are not as helpful as you think. So try to limit the amount that you're doing those. And then to increase things that you enjoy, either solo or with others, refer to your values, refer to previous worksheets. What are the things that cropped up that you thought you might be interested in? Start exploring those things, and some relaxing activities that actually do replenish you. So what are some things that make you feel, kind of zen and chilled out, and that those can replenish your energy reserves? So this chart is from a book called Overwhelmed and Over It by Christine Rilo. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but I thought it was just a really neat way for her to show how this cycle can sometimes work, right? So on the left side, you can see the drain life force section. And I think this might be the one that a lot of us are familiar with, that you just spend your energy and it drains and drains and drains until at some point you get sick, or, something happens where you end up just in total burnout, not being able to do anything besides just lay in bed and recover. And then maybe from there, it's a very, very slow refill until hopefully you still get back up to the top level. But sometimes if you don't actually give yourself enough time to recover, you just stay in that burnout zone for way too long. So you want to make sure on the right side that you are retaining your life force. So what I'm talking about in this whole section is making sure that you are, doing the things that you enjoy, not letting the things that deplete you go too far without you, trying to do something about it. So it just kind of means that you're much more balanced and much less likely to fall into that burnout zone, because you're always refilling before you dip into what she calls the reserve tank, right? As soon as you start dipping into reserves, and as you practice this and you get better at it and you start paying attention to what's going on inside you, you'll be able to notice when you're dipping into the reserves way before they ever reach burnout level, and you'll be able to do more about it to kind of keep it so it's much more level, and you're not having these, the high highs and the low lows throughout this whole cycle. So there is going to be a guide at the end of this section that describes how to do the exercise that I'm just going to kind of run you through real quick. You don't have to do this right now as I'm saying it, but I just wanted to describe it so you can kind of get what I'm saying here. So how to determine your current levels, because that's a big important part of it, is like figuring out, where am I even at right now? Am I dipping into my reserves or not? Try to get onto yourself, I'll say, and that. But so here's what you need to do. And a lot of people say, like, pay attention to your body, take a couple minutes, check in with your body. But if you're not familiar with this type of exercise or what to do, you have no idea what you're actually looking for. So this will help you with that. And it does get easier with practice. And the more you communicate with your body, the more it'll send you signals even sometimes when you're not looking for it. So practice this more often. I think it's daily that they recommend on this one. But so find a couple minutes, check in with your body. So you do this with your feet on the ground. You put one hand on your belly, the other hand on your heart. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and tune into your energy. So depending on how stressed out or how many thoughts that you have going on, I recommend probably a good 5 deep breaths, 5 inhales, 5 exhales. Try to clear out any of the thoughts that are there, anything that you're doing, and just clear your mind. You might already start feeling kind of a buzz of energy, or you might feel something happening. That's okay. That's totally normal. Tune into the energy that you're feeling, and then ask yourself what your current energy level is, scale of 1 to 100, right? So you just really just come up with the first number, trust the first number that comes to mind. Don't start negotiating with it. Don't start thinking like, oh, that was a weird response, maybe I should change it. Whatever your first instinct is generally the correct one. So don't negotiate it. And the guide will include a chart with like what this number means and which ones are falling into dangerous territory. And then once you get that number, you can also ask the question right away before other thoughts start pouring in. But you're asking for the number, and then get it, and then ask your inner wisdom, what do I need to receive today? And honestly, you would be so surprised if you've never done this exercise, what actually comes up. Like, you might think that you have no idea, but your inner wisdom guidance actually knows a lot more than you think, and you can trust it a lot more than you ever thought before, right? So when you do this, just pay attention. It might not, you might be like, oh, well, it's going to tell me that I need to take a 2-week vacation from work, but that might not be the case. It might be something really, really simple, right? And it might be just like, I need to drink more water today, or I need to ask my spouse for more help. Whatever it might be, just pay attention and then do your best to honor whatever it is that comes up, because that is the guidance is coming up to tell you what step to take next. Excuse me. So, yep. So like I said, the guide available is the Life Force check-in. So it'll go over, remind you what to do with this practice and how to do it. So go through that. And again, a daily practice with it, or as often as possible, is good to just continue to check in where you are, because it changes day to day depending on what's going on. And then hop into the community and share the results of this first check-in. What number came up first, and what were some of the initial thoughts that started coming in? We'd be really curious to hear it. And then we are done with module 4. So we're going to be moving on to the 5th one, where we'll be talking about your calendar and to-dos. Super fun topics. So I look forward to seeing you there.